Beth looks like she's ready to play.
Oh, you know what?
I got this.
This is the day we have been given. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning. I am Damian Sullivan, Secretary of the Parish Committee, and we'd like to welcome everyone, especially any newcomers, to service today. There's a link in the chat to fill out to receive more information. We'd especially like to thank Michael Feeney and Carrie Borkowski for being our technical and Zoom team. Please consider volunteering for help with this. We need more volunteers. I'd like to highlight some important things, key events this week. There's the newcomer gathering on 12/17, the morality discussion. Help is needed for the Christmas Eve service, pageant, setup, and ushers. Decoration is also needed. Possibly, we'd like to have this done by next Saturday, so if you could get into contact soon, that would be terrific. Also, next Sunday at 5 p.m. is the Stories of the Season. Remember, please check the website and Facebook for more information on this. At the heart of our life together is a promise of how we will live together. Our covenant expresses this promise, and we say it every week to recommit ourselves to live together in love. Let us say it together. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to cherish the living earth, to seek truth and love, and to help one another. Each week, we light a candle, which we call a chalice, for the container which holds it. The chalice and its light remind us of many things: the light of truth, the circle of love which holds each of us, the light which shines within each of us. Today, we light our chalice for the light of peace, using these words by the Reverend Dr. Lindsay Bates. Minister Emeritus for the UU Church of Geneva, Illinois. To face the world's shadows, a chalice of light. To face the world's coldness, a challenge of warmth, a chalice of warmth. To face the world's terrors, a chalice of courage. To face the world's turmoil, a chalice of peace. May its glow fill our spirits, our hearts, and our lives.
The chalice is now lit at First Parish. I invite you in your homes to light your candle or your chalice to spread our light of peace. This Advent, we are looking to hear words of comfort, of challenge, and of good news. We look for these words every year, but now more than ever, as we mourn those who have died, worry about our nation, and look toward a Christmas without many of the familiar celebrations, rituals, and people. In our worship this December, we hear each week the words of a poem found written on the wall of a cellar in Cologne, Germany, where Jews had hidden during the Holocaust. As we hear those words, we remember the places where peace could be found in those days, the places where it was so lacking, and the difference its presence could have made then and could make now in our time. Let us pray now as we prepare to light our Advent candle this morning. We give thanks for the glimpses we catch of peace on earth, even in the midst of fear, of challenge, of struggle, even when we aren't sure that goodwill among us can be found. May we be aware of the flame of peace within us, that we might glow with its brilliance from the inside out. Our candle glows blue today. Blue is said to be a calming color, perhaps because it is the color of the sea and the sky, which remind us of our smallness, our humanness, and so put our lives and our world back in perspective. You are invited to light your Advent candle of peace at this time. And let us sing our opening hymn, O come, Emmanuel. So during these weeks of Advent, we've been talking about different familiar Christmas movie classics or TV shows. We've talked about A Charlie Brown Christmas and The Grinch last week, and this week, A Muppet Christmas Carol. And I was thinking we've got a theme going here. They're all about people who don't know that they are loved and cared for, and what a difference that makes for them when they realize that they are loved and cared for. For Charlie Brown, it actually made more of a difference perhaps in his friends, because Charlie Brown always showed love and kindness back to the world, and perhaps that's one of the reasons we love Charlie Brown so much. The Grinch was actively kind of mean in his uncaring. Like, he felt unloved, and so he was willing to hurt and harm the Who's, taking away their Christmas stuff, trying to make them as unhappy as he was. Scrooge, I was thinking, is a little different. He's not actively hurting anybody, as he tells people who try to get him in the Christmas cheer, I just want to be left alone. You do Christmas your way, let me not celebrate it. But it's the visit of the three ghosts that help him see that all along, people have been caring for him in ways he didn't perceive. From his sister, from Mr. Fezziwig shedding joy, even the Cratchit family holding him in their joy and their prayers. He realizes that he's not alone. And perhaps he also, we don't see this kind of systemic economic thought going on in the movie, perhaps he also starts thinking that the wealth he's accumulated isn't just his own doing. But he starts realizing that he's part of a larger community. And so he realizes that he can't just be alone, that his welfare is bound with others' welfare, and he starts caring for people. I love always to think about what happens after the story ends. We know he cares for Tiny Tim and that he becomes a generous giver. I wonder if perhaps, like Charles Dickens, his author, he also worked with Parliament and with large groups to try to change the systems which held the poor in such hard circumstances. We don't know that, but I can imagine that seeing himself connected, he worked to create systems of peace, systems of justice, systems of fairness. And that's one of the things we're called to do at this season and throughout the year. We all get solicitations of charity. I know a lot of the schools were asking for donations for the food pantry, and maybe some of you in your neighborhoods were collecting for the food pantry. As a family, my family used to go volunteer at Cradles to Crayons this time of year. We think about our connections with others who are less fortunate than we are at this time of year. But really, the world we seek to create, that world of peace and justice for all, means that, like Scrooge, we need to carry that Christmas peace, that sense of connection in our hearts all through the year. And that way, we will create that world of peace and justice where it's not just Christmas in our hearts, but that true Christmas spirit round the year. I'm going to let Beth now tell you about the anthem the choir is going to sing.
We want to thank you, beloved congregation, for your support of the music program. It has been a difficult time for all of us trying to learn new ways of making music, and your support of all the arts in this church keeps an important tradition alive. One of those traditions is to celebrate Hanukkah. This morning, our choir will sing The Holidays Are Here Again, which celebrates both Hanukkah and Christmas. After the anthem, Beck, Seth, Max, and Olivia Malamute will light the menorah for the third night of Hanukkah, which was last night.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Wait, hold on a second. So
Unmute us.
unmute.
Unmuted. Wait, are we unmuted?
I think so.
I think we're unmuted. Can you
Hi,
hear
everyone.
us?
Can you hear?
Oh, they can. All right, great.
So,
So-
go ahead.
I was just going to say, so we're going to light a menorah and say the traditional prayer for lighting the candles at Hanukkah.
You're gonna do it for the third night since that was last night.
Oh, okay.
Can we try?
Yeah, wait until I light it, okay?
So Nancy,
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Hanukkah. And what that means in English is, blessed are you, O Lord our God, King of the universe. Ooh. Who made us holy through your commandments and commanded us to light the Hanukkah lights.
So do you guys want to say a little something about what we do tonight? Hanukkah?
Each night we light a candle and then we say the prayer when we light it.
That's right.
What else do you want to share, Max?
Max, you want to share something else?
We light the candle for when back in the days when people came to get together, but so they played tricks so they could just be together. They would toss gold coins on the ground and spin a top called a dreidel.
That's right. And so we play dreidel on Hanukkah too.
So thanks for letting us share that with you all.
Wait, I'm gonna do something. I want to show you guys something. Watch this.
No, we can't record.
Now that our sanctuary glows with lights of peace, I invite you to a time of peace. I invite you to get into a comfortable position of rest. I invite you to get as quiet and still as you can. I invite you to a deep breath and a deep listening posture, perhaps eyes closed or fixed on a candle, as we prepare for a time of prayer.
Be
Let us open our hearts to mystery. Deep peace. We come here each week, seeking to be held in that peace, seeking to recognize and remember that that peace is within us. It is hard sometimes because we also hold in our hearts so many needs of others and ourselves, so many worries that are a form of love, so much care and concern. It is hard to hold all that love and also remain in peace because we fear as we love. We fear for what will happen to loved ones, especially members of our community who have recently been diagnosed with cancer, our loved ones and our friends who are dealing with illnesses, the people of this world, of our country, living with COVID and other illnesses. We fear for them as we love them. And so it is hard to stay in that posture of peace, to be rooted in it. And yet our love cannot help them if it does not come from that place of peace, from that place of trust that love will carry out its design, its purpose. So here we are, rooting ourselves again, that we may pour out our love for one another and for our world. I invite you now in silence to re-establish yourselves in that deep peace.
I invite you to stay still and quietly sing with me that final phrase of our prayer song, Meet Me In. Meet me in the stillness here. Free me to receive, to receive.
On the third night of Hanukkah in 1993, in a home in Billings, Montana, the Schnitzer family, Father David, Mother Tammy, 5-year-old Isaac, and 2-year-old Rachel lit their menorah and watched the candles burn down. A while later, David heard a crash coming from Isaac's room. He went to investigate, opened the door, and felt cold air. The light wouldn't turn on. By the light of the hallway, he saw that the window was smashed, the lamp lying on the floor surrounded by broken glass, with a large stone lying next to it. Fortunately, Isaac had been playing with Rachel in the family room. If he had been playing on the floor of his bedroom, he would have been hit by the glass, if not the stone or the lamp. The window, which had been targeted, was decorated for the holiday with gel stick-ons of a menorah, a dreidel, the Star of David, and the words, "Happy Hanukkah." David Schnitzer reported the vandalism to the police. They explained that this was part of a larger pattern of violence and threats directed against the members of the Jewish, Black, Native, and LGBTQ communities over the past year in their town. The police officers suggested for their own safety, they might consider taking down the decorations in the window. In other words, that it would be safer for them to hide their religion. This was not acceptable to the Schnitzers, and they went public with the attack. A picture in the local paper the next day showed Tammy with her daughter sitting on the bed in Isaac's room. She talked about how they felt about the attack, how scary it was, how they had been advised to take down their religious symbols, and how they had decided that to do so would be to let their attackers win. A woman who was a member of the local council of churches, as well as the community group already addressing these attacks, had an idea. In her child's Sunday school class, she had learned about Hanukkah and colored in a picture of a lit menorah. The woman suggested that the churches offer these coloring sheets to their congregations to put in their windows so that the Schnitzers and other Jewish members of the community would not be alone. And so they did. The churches shared them. Businesses shared them. The newspaper gave over its front page to a menorah picture for cutting and taping. Soon, 10,000 homes and businesses in Billings displayed a menorah. Some places had windows broken, but still, they didn't take them down. And because the town stood together against the hatred, gradually, those who were trying to spread it gave up. You may have heard this story. It's been the subject of a children's picture book called The Christmas Menorahs: How a Town Fought Hate, a PBS documentary, Not in Our Town, and a song with the same name by Fred Small, a UU minister and folk singer. Here's a bit of the song performed by the Gateway Men's Chorus.
There are more of us than they have stones. Shopkeepers printed up menorahs by the score. Children in their Sunday schools colored dozens more. Though in the town of Billings lived not 100 Jews, menorahs now were everywhere, on every avenue. Through the drifting snow, Tammy drove her children round. Menorahs by the thousands in the windows of the town. Are all those people Jewish? Asked Isaac as they went. No, his mother answered. They are your friends. One moment of conviction, one voice quiet and clear, one act of compassion. It all begins here. No safety now in silence. We've got to stand our ground. No hate, no violence, not enough.
Are all those people Jewish? Asked Isaac as they went. No, his mother answered, they are your friends. It doesn't rhyme, but his mother might also have answered, they are your allies. An ally is someone who stands with you, who stands in relationship. We often think about the word in terms of peace treaties, the Allied powers in World War II, for instance, or our NATO allies. But not just nations can be allied. An ally is different from a friend. Friendship implies a personal relationship. I know you and I care about you. Allies may not have the same kind of personal connection, but they know that their interests are the same. And I'm thinking of more than national interests here. We are allies when we realize that the welfare of others is connected to our own welfare, even when we are not directly affected. Most people in Billings were unlikely to have rocks thrown through their windows, but they understood that a community in which that could happen unchecked wasn't good for anyone, including them. Allies see the bigger picture beyond perhaps their own interests in this moment to the world they want to create, a world of peace where all live in safety. This is what happened to Scrooge. After his night of transformation, he became friends with the Cratchits, but he became an ally to the poor and vulnerable. He understood that a society which depended on workhouses and prisons wasn't a society that he wanted to live in. It wasn't good for him, even though he was unlikely to end up in those places. By the end of the Spirit's visits, he understood that he was allied with all of humankind, that mankind was his business, as Marley put it. In recent months, groups in our town, like Stride, Situate Pride, and Situate United, have been offering chances to hear people of a variety of experiences talk about their lives in general and their lives in Situate in particular. I've heard stories from LGBTQ members of our community, from parents of gay children, and from adults and students of color. Their stories aren't my story, but hearing them reminds me that their welfare in this town is part of my welfare, part of the welfare of all of us, that our goal truly is to be a commonwealth, as the founders of Massachusetts envisioned. I'd like to invite us as a church to think more intentionally about how we want to stand as allies with other members of the community. We have the Justice Shows Up standouts on Sunday afternoons. How else could we stand with marginalized people? What else can we do to shape a commonwealth of Situate, and for all the communities, a commonwealth of which we are a part? In our conversation during coffee hour, I invite you to share thoughts on how we may be promoters of peace, better allies in this world. Let's now join Howard Matthews, Mark Matthews, and Beth in singing Peter, Paul, and Mary's Song of Allyship, Light One Candle.
Welcome everyone. We're going to sing the song Light One Candle, and we would like you to sing the chorus with us, and Beth will lead you into the chorus each time, and the chorus goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Don't let the light go out. It's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out. Let it shine through our love and our tears. Light one candle for the Maccabee children. Thanks that their light didn't die. Light one candle for the pain they endured when their right to exist was denied. Light one candle for the terrible sacrifice justice and freedom demand.
what's the commitment to those who have died? When we cry out, they've not died in vain. We have come this far, always believing that justice would somehow prevail. This is the burden, and this is the promise, and this is why we will not fail. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears.
One more time.
Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. For the peacemaker's time is at hand.
Thank you, Howard, Mark, and Beth. It was so lovely to hear you and see you and sing with you. And I remind others that if you would like to record yourself singing, we would love to show it in a service. You can let Beth know if you'd be interested. And now, in this season of waiting, know this. We wait for justice, but we do not wait to work for change. We wait for restored health, but we do not wait to work to heal. We wait for wholeness, but we do not wait to work at binding brokenness. We wait for peace, but we do not wait to work to eliminate hatred. And so, my friends, like bells ringing out the news that the light has dawned and shines on all people, fill the night left by sadness with messages of peace. Go into your lives humming the tunes which give you peace and that spur you on in your work of justice and reconciliation. And now, even if there's no one there to hear you, or even if there is someone there to hear you, raise your voice and repeat after me, do not be afraid.
Do not be afraid.
Go in peace and in joy.